Hey seedlings! Sorry for dropping off the face of the earth for a couple of months. I was going through a really hard time and had no motivation. I love you guys so much, and thanks to those who tried to reach out to me. I'm sorry I didn't respond. Today we are going to be reading Friendly Rivalry. This is part 12, chapter 12. Once Kyle and Khonshu had mostly taught him what they could, he was passed off to Ningami and Mutku, who were kind of working together to do their things they had to teach him. Mutku's quirk was awesome, allowing him to take an object belonging to someone else and use it to mimic them personally and in actions. It was just so cool. Ningyomi's quirk was even cooler, letting her brainwash someone when she made 3 seconds of eye contact. They obviously had abilities outside of that, which made it even cooler. So, kid, I assume you know the quirk singularity theory, Ningyomi asked one day. Yeah? Izuku had heard of it, of course. It was a very common theory now. Basically, the theory said that eventually quirks would get so powerful they'd hit a singularity. The quirks would become too powerful for those who wield them. She was one of the people who worked on that theory, Mutku said when she hesitated too long. I did little more than function as a lab assistant. I was still a reformed villain after all, Ningyomi admitted sheepishly. But I did learn a lot about it and how we got to that theory. How was it brought up? Izuku asked curiously. He wondered about it since he wasn't sure how they would test that. With mice, Ningyomi said, smiling. We got a couple of quirked mice and started breeding them. The quirks got more and more powerful until all we could get were stillborn mice, because their quirks overwhelmed their bodies and they died in the womb. I didn't really tell anyone this, but I realized after working with the mice that each of their quirks had a power cap. All quirks have a certain point where they either evolve and go in a different direction or they just stop growing. I realized after seeing 2 mice from the same line with almost the same quirk, but the younger one had a higher power levels to start with. Even after training the older mouse, the younger one still surpassed them in every way possible. I think the same applies to humans. I hit my power cap long ago when I finally got my power activation down to 3 seconds. My son didn't have a quirk at all similar to mine. He got his quirk from his father's side, so there's no real way to test it. What happened to him? Izuku asked curiously. Is he still around? Ningyomi's lips pulled back from her teeth in a sneer or maybe a snarl. He got married, had a kid with a similar quirk to mine, abandoned the kid to the foster system after making sure I couldn't get custody, and left. She sighed deeply. I don't even know the kid's name. He should have my last name, though, since my son didn't take his wife's name. Maybe we can find him someday, Izuku said, trying to cheer her up. Then you can get custody. Kid, I'm not exactly young. I'm not sure me taking custody of him would be the best option. As someone who lived in the foster care, it'll be better for him if you took custody, Mutku added, shaking his head. If his quirk is like yours, who knows what could happen? No one would let me even touch their stuff for fear I'd mimic them and do something. Maybe, she said, obviously unconvinced. Maybe we can try really hard to find him when he gets to high school. Do you know about how old he is? He's probably about your age now, Ningyomi said after a long moment. Or somewhat close. Then, when I go to high school, when you get into UA, Mutsuko interrupted. When I go to high school, Izuku said slightly more aggressively. We can ask Tenki to look around for him and maybe find him, since he might also be in high school. It'd be easier for you to get custody, right? I suppose. But I live here. It's not exactly a good place for a teen to live, Ningyomi said, looking around. You still go back to your home most nights. Then we can, find you an apartment nearby or something, Izuku said, already planning. We have time until I get into high school, so it's not inconceivable. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. We have time, Izuku repeated, smiling. What were we doing today? Izuku mostly didn't see the apartment stuff, since he was kind of really busy, but he did maybe burst into tears when Yome handed him a key to the apartment so he could come in if he wanted to. Just a little bit. The apartment ended up sporadically decorated as everyone pitched in to try and decorate. So the living room was like a collision of Hiki's need to decorate with weapons, for easy access to them obviously, Zen's desire for soft, fluffy things on every surface, and at least one crow-patterned thing, Elagier's calm, proper ability to decorate things, and remember important stuff like official furniture that wasn't a giant beanbag. Needless to say, all of the rooms except Ningyomi's bedroom looked like someone had taken every style of decorating they could, added the reformed villain's personality quirks, blended it together, then went about splashing it everywhere with no restraint. Izuku thought it was equal parts hilarious and kind of ridiculous. We're so going to have to take down those weapons should there be an inspector coming through here. Ningyome sighed, staring at the katana on the wall and the kunai flanking it. Hide them in the closet, maybe, Izuku suggested, snuggled on the beanbag in a fluffy blanket. The crow-patterned one Zen had insisted be in here. I feel like they check the closets, Ningyome pointed out. As much as I taught you about lying, I cannot lie my way out of having a katana and various other weapons in my closet. I guess you're right, Izuku hummed. Hide them with everyone else. Let Hiki have them back for a bit, maybe. They can be put back afterwards. What would my grandson even think of this decorating mess? Ningyomi despaired. You're the one who let everyone at the place, Izuku pointed out. You brought this on yourself. Maybe I did a little bit. Doesn't mean I can't despair about what my grandson is going to think of this mess. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. The next podfic should be out on Friday. Hope you have a good week, seedlings.